Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. All right, Friday, the 28th of March. Hard to believe how the time runs fast. It's the end of the first quarter of 2025. I don't know, I didn't even take a breath. And it's, first quarter of the year is gone. So hopefully, good morning. Hello, Montana. Nice to see you. Hello, hello. Oh, so nice. Good morning. Montana. I have to tell you that I also joined streams like this as a listener myself. I have a teacher here in the Czech Republic. She's my mentor for online work, and whenever she does a live session, I always run to my phone. I'm like, even regardless of where I am, in my car or somewhere else. And if I can't make it, I listen to the recording. I also really enjoy these sessions on the side of the listener. So welcome today. It's Friday. It's beautiful here in Prague, sunny. And I'm planning to do some gardening this weekend. So I'm really excited about Saturday and planting and getting my flower beds ready and all of those things. I really enjoyed that. So welcome. I'm going to give people a second to join. Hello, Plummy. I see Plummy joined on Instagram. I would love for those of you who already joined to please say hello in chat and tell me where you are joining from, so that I know who's with me on Facebook and also on Instagram. My name is Mirka. This is episode 3 of series 2 of Good Morning Grant Lovers Show. And we are here talking about grant money for educational projects. Yes, you overslept last night and invited people. No, it's okay. And there's a recording, and eventually I'm actually thinking we are going to upload all of these sessions to YouTube, and we are going to create a playlist, and then somehow I think we'll probably offer people on our Facebook and on our Instagram who want the playlist to let us know, and we'll send you a link by email or something like this. We are still talking about that with my colleagues because it's easier to have it all in one place, all of these recordings in one place. And also Facebook now has a new policy that all live streams are taken down in 30 days by Facebook because they don't have enough storage space for all of these live streams to be, on Facebook forever. So they put it up on they allow 30 days and then they take it down. So it's going to go all of this on YouTube into a playlist, and you'll be able to access it if you want. Yes, this would be lovely. Thank you, Plummy. Okay, so my name is Mirka. I'm in Prague, in Europe, in Czechia or Czech Republic in Europe. Actually, I am very interested to know from those of you who already joined if you know where Czech Republic is. Because I kind of, sometimes I say I'm from Prague, Czech Republic, Montessori Institute Prague, and it feels like everybody knows, but then I'm thinking, well, maybe not, because, we're from different places of the world. So let me know, those of you who are joining, do you know where Prague is or where Czech Republic is? Or do you know where Europe is? I hope you know where Europe is, wherever you are. And hello, Zoe. I see Zoe joined. And Montana is in Bronx in New York, so it's really late at night for her. I am a Montessori founder. I founded a Montessori school about 15, I mean, I never know. I have to once eventually look at the foundation date. When was it, to give precise information? But it's definitely over a decade ago. And I also founded a Montessori Teacher Training Institute. We are an AMI organization. Association Montessori International is the organization. I'm glad you studied geography in the US. But Montana, we are such a small country that I don't take it as normal that everybody would know where Prague is. But I do think that people know some of my country fellowmen like Václav Havel, maybe, and um, some other famous people who are my predecessors who made my country known around the world, at least a little bit. But we are a beautiful country, and if you ever travel to Europe, if you ever travel to Prague, please contact us at Montessori Institute Prague. We have a beautiful Montessori school. I am the founder of it, and a teacher training institute. And our mission is to bring. Oh, Von. Okay. Why did you said Montana yesterday? Montana from Germany. Okay. Sorry. So Von, nice to see you, Von. Okay, I'll remember your name. I remembered it yesterday, what I thought was your name, so I'll remember it today. Association Montessori International is the global Montessori organization which Maria Montessori founded to guard her legacy and to continue to spread her knowledge and how we approach children and how we think of human beings and their development. And my mission is to help other people to bring Montessori to the world. I have 4 children. 20 years ago, my first child was born, my oldest son, and that's when I came across Montessori. It's a very common story for a majority of, most Montessorians that I know came across Montessori when they became parents themselves. And I felt it was love at first sight. And I thought, okay, I would like a Montessori education for my child. And how can I do it? And that's how my journey started. And I had no idea way back that one day we will build this beautiful venture that we have here in Prague, and that will be helping other Montessorians around the whole world to bring Montessori to their communities. I started my journey as a mom. With I had Christoph. He was a newborn baby, and I just took it a step at a time. And I think that's the core of what I'm teaching people, is that wherever you are, in whatever situation you are, wherever you are in the world, however old you are, it doesn't really matter any of that. What matters is if you want to do it, and if you take the courage and if you have the courage to take the first step. And usually when you take that first step, things start developing and evolving in its own beautiful way. You just have to take that first step. And usually, my question, and I think a lot of people face that same question when they start thinking, I would like to start a Montessori school, or I would like to replace child services with Montessori, or I would like to, start a parent and child group, or I would like to take a training to become a teacher. Their first reaction or response to it is, okay, where do I get the money to do that, right? Because in order to become a Montessori trained guide, you need to take the training, you need to pay for the training. If you want to start a company or a business or a non-profit organization, even, you still need money to do that. So I was in that same situation 20 years ago, and we were literally a volunteer group of mothers who just wanted to see each other, who wanted to support each other, and who liked Montessori. And we started meeting. We would originally meet in each other's bedrooms or living rooms, really. Like, I would host the group on Monday, and another mom would host the group on Wednesday in her house, and then another mom would host the group in her house on Friday, and we would do house hopping like this. And we would meet and we would talk about parenting, about nursing, about food for children, nourishment, brain development, all kinds of things that young mothers talk about. They do talk about brain development too. But then more and more moms started coming, and we just couldn't fit into my living room or into anybody's living room after that. And I started thinking, this looks like other people could benefit from this as well. Okay, and what should we do about that? And then I do not remember who said, maybe you should look into grant money, and maybe you should start a nonprofit organization, because you're actually serving other people, and this could become a beautiful place of beautiful place of service, if you maybe rent some space and you start doing this on a more professional level. And I said, that's interesting. And I did look into grant money for nonprofit organizations, especially for nonprofit organizations which support young parents. And together with my friend, whom we did this together with, we wrote our first grant application, and eventually we got the grant money. And it was a very small grant, 2,000 euros or $2,000, something like this, very small, not big. Honest truth is, I don't remember the exact amount, but it was that first step that made a difference, because when you apply for grant money and you get it for the first time, it's like a breakthrough. After that, you can get any grant money that you apply for in the future. When you learn how to do it, when you go through the process of how to design a project with which you can apply for a grant with, how to create a budget, how to plan activities of the project, how to plan the team, how to explain to the grant funder that this is how you're going to help, and how to convince the grant funder that they should give you the money, then you can do it with any other grant money in the future. So I learned this, and I had 20 years of practice applying for grant money. And what we have built in Prague, the school and the Teacher Training Institute, for a big part is thanks to grants that we received over those 20 years. I do share with people that I have it's called a grant track record. Let me put this in here. Grant track record of, I raised 2.3 euros or 2.3 million euros or $2.3 million, because euros and dollars are pretty much the same these days, in grant money ever since then. So in 20 years of practice and being a grant fundraiser, this is my grant track record. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because I want this to be an encouragement to every one of you who are here with me live, or who are watching this from a recording, that although you might even not know what grants are when you're watching this, you can still find out, you can still learn, you can still try to apply, and you can still start getting money from this. Now, I won't lie to you, it's work, okay? You have to learn how to do this. It's a process, there's a formula, it takes time to learn. But if you keep saying to yourself, I don't know how, then you're never going to do it. So what I'm here for, and why I do these live sessions this week and next week, is because I am campaigning on behalf of grants and explaining to people, especially Montessorians and especially educators, that grants are there available for our work, that we are entitled to it, and that we should start learning how to apply for it. We created a survey and sent it out to our email database and on funding for Montessori, because I know many people are struggling with funding and with finances, with money in Montessori. And so I sent out a survey and I said, what's your situation? How are you okay, or do you need more funding? And 67% of people replied and said they don't have enough money, and that they would like to find out how to get grants for their Montessori projects. So that's why I decided I'm going to go back to the drawing board or to my computer, and I'm going to start talking to you all about grant money and giving you inspiration to look into it, and giving you inspiration to start considering it as part, to include it in your financial strategy. You do not have to strive to survive on low enrollment fees. You can, what you really need to do as a Montessorian, and it's either a business, it doesn't matter if you're a business owner, or if you are a leader of a nonprofit organization, or if you are a leader of a school legal entity. There are different types of ways that a school or Montessori program can be run. You need to think about your financial strategy. You need to be able to cover your costs. You should be able to create profit for development and for sustainability. And you need to figure out how to get that revenue in. And it's really, it's really a question. When I talk to people, I think it's a question of us being primarily, we are mission-driven educators or people who want to change the world, and we are not entrepreneurs and we don't have business mindsets. And this is what I had gained what I realized, and which was a major breakthrough for me during these 20 years, and especially during the last 3-5 years, that it's amazing that we have a mission, and I know God is going to bless us for it, and we are going to enjoy our every day of our work. But every mission, although it could be a non-profit organization or any kind of other mission, has two sides of coin. You want to serve, you want to make an impact, but at the same time, you need to be able to source money in order to do that. And how we source money is a matter of all these live streams that I'm doing this week. Today is the last day of this week, and then again 4 days next week, every day in the morning at 9 o'clock. The reason why 4 days is because on Thursday, this whole campaign for how we should fund our Montessori projects is going to culminate in a free webinar. And I'm going to invite you for the free webinar right now before I start talking about grants and answering questions that I have selected for today. So let me just share my screen. This is a free workshop that I'm giving. It's on Thursday next week at 5 o'clock in the evening. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let's see, share screen. Right here, right here. So, okay, let me just check that you can see it. Yes, so the webinar is called Fund Your Montessori Dream. It's starting in 6 days. It's on Thursday next week, April the 3rd at 5 o'clock Central European Time. If you have trouble figuring out what time it is, then I use this cool tool, which is called Every Time Zone. And I'm going to put that in chat for you as well. You can check the time zone here. For us, it's 5 o'clock in the evening. To New York, -7, I think. We are changing the time this weekend. So you do make sure to use the Every Time Zone app to check what time it is. And it will be, I think we're doing 2.5 hours. And what we are going to do is I'm going to encourage you to think about what is the possible project idea that you might have. So in other words, you are going to get a practical exercise from me to outline what are your funding needs and figure it out, get clarity about that. But also, what is the idea? What is it that you want to serve with? Okay, what is it? How do you want to serve? What is the idea that you have for a project? And you're going to write this down, you're going to think about it, and you're going to share it with people in a breakout session. And then when you come out of that breakout session, we are going to talk about how do you find a funder for that? How do you find who wants to give money for that particular idea? I'm going to teach you that. And I'm going to give you a list of grant funders that I have been collecting over years. And then last part, I'm going to show you, I actually have created a process for writing successful grant applications. And I'm going to share that with you. I have like a mind map. It's a 9-step process with a description of what to do at each stage. And you're going to get that from me. So by the end of the workshop, you should leave with clarity on what grants are, clarity on what might be your possible grant idea, clarity where you could possibly look for a grant funder, and clarity on what does the application process look like. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do on Thursday next week at 5 o'clock, and you're all invited. And to join the workshop, you need to go to this website and you just sign up. It's free of charge, and I will be very happy to see you there. And if you know some people who you think should learn about this, please help me spread the word, because I am so surprised whenever I speak to somebody who is from Montessori and I ask, oh, do you guys get grants? You could really, this is a wonderful idea for a grant project. And people look at me and say, what are grants? I've never heard about grant money. So I'm on a mission to make sure that everybody in the whole global Montessori movement knows that we are entitled to ask for grants and that we should really learn how to do that, okay? So having said that, I'm going to stop sharing screen, and I did promise some questions answered as well. So I have my list here. Today is about where to begin when you want to start looking, so I'm sure that's one of the questions that you were thinking, okay, I've never heard about grants, where do I even begin? And the questions that I have collected from you are the following. Where do I even find grants for my Montessori school? How do I find grants for public Montessori schools? Where do I find the right grant funder for my particular vision? Can I apply for a grant if I am just a Montessori teacher? What conditions do I have to meet to apply for grants? So I think I'm just going to go ahead and give one big general answer to all of these questions. And maybe I will start with the one that was asked by somebody who is not a representative of an organization and they are an individual. Okay, so yes, there is grant money available as well for individual people. You do not have to be an organization in order to apply for grants. Of course, there are different types of grants. So there are grants only for organizations, and then there are grants only for individuals. So if you are an individual person, you are going to be looking for grant money for individuals. When I did my research to create the list of grant funders, which I will share with you, I located a Global Teachers Fund, which is an organization which particularly gives money to teachers who want to get some kind of professional development. And this is what majority of Montessori people are looking for is money to get their training. You have to travel somewhere to get a training and all of that expense. So there is that particular organization. Then there also is Montessori Global Growth Fund, who particularly funds people who want to take Montessori teacher training. So that's also something I'm going to share with you in the workshop on Thursday. And then one other, and this is a bit off topic because this is not necessarily grant money, but if you are an individual and you want to take a teacher training or Montessori teacher training or an orientation course, I'm going to give you a little tip, and that is, it never hurts to ask. So go find a training center that you like and send them an email and ask either for a discount or for a scholarship, or ask if they have grants. Sometimes we help people, or actually not sometimes, often we help people like that at Montessori Institute Prague, especially if we get approached by somebody who lives in underprivileged areas and they want to, build a school somewhere where it's absolutely impossible to travel from or even to ever have enough money to afford a training. We always help, and I know other training centers do as well. So that's an answer to the question, can I get grants if I'm an individual? If you are an individual and you are thinking about starting a school or starting some kind of a program for the future, I would highly recommend that you start thinking about creating a legal entity right away, because sometimes grant funders require that the organization has some years of existence, and you will have to prove, okay, for example, that you have 2 years, your organization has been founded 2 years ago, and it did this and this in those 2 years to help in the area in which you're helping. So it's better to establish a legal entity sooner than later if you're thinking about grant money. And then, of course, that's a whole, I'm thinking maybe one day I'll do a workshop on this, because often people ask me, should I establish a business company or should I establish a nonprofit organization? What is better? Some people even ask, what is a nonprofit organization? So those kinds of things you have to explore. if you want to become a Montessori entrepreneur. And I do recommend that you start looking into those things sooner than later, because you will need this in order to get more grant money for once when you have your organization. Okay. And when you start thinking about these foundational questions, one of the things that needs to be on your list to think about is, what kind of a financial strategy am I going to have? Where am I going to get money? And you need to start thinking about that. Oh, obviously, that's one of the biggest questions. And obviously, startup grants and grant money for nonprofit organizations is definitely one of the answers. And there are grants also available to businesses. So you don't just have to be a nonprofit organization to reach some grant money. Okay, so that and then where do I even begin? The questions, this whole session is about where do I even begin? Where do I find grants for Montessori schools, for example? So the simplest thing to do is to take the webinar or the workshop on Thursday. I'm going to give you a list. But the second simplest thing you can do is you go and Google. Okay, so what is it that you're going to Google? Is you're going to put grants for, and then whatever your topic is. So grants for parent education, grants for the elderly care, grants for development of education in Africa, grants for so and so, and you start researching. It does take time and it does take skill, and you need to know what to search for when you start reading those websites that are going to come up, because a lot is going to come up. Okay, there are dozens and dozens and thousands of websites, grant funders, corporations, associations. There's a lot of money out there available, believe it or not. And you have to learn how to find the right grant funder. And looking for the right grant funder, in a way, is like looking for a needle in a haystack. But if you don't start looking, you won't find the needle. And the funders are experiencing the same thing. They're on their other side of the story is the grant funder who has the money, and they are looking for a trustworthy, educated, experienced organization that can do what is it that they want to do. So the grant funders are also looking for a needle in a haystack. So it's like two sides of the story. Both sides of the story are looking for the needle in a haystack, and unless they start looking, they won't find each other. So I'm doing this to encourage you to start looking into this. And I know you're capable more than enough to actually start looking and start finding grant money, okay? I think somebody from Ukraine just joined. That's where my heart goes, and where my heart is. We know that Ukraine is going to start rebuilding itself very soon, and there is grant money going to be available for my colleagues in Montessori in Ukraine. So where do you begin? You begin by searching. And how do I find the right grant funder for our particular vision? So I just described that you're looking for the grant funder, and the grant funder is looking for you. And what they do is they have money available. They usually give it out in periodically. So there could be a grant call in the fall for projects starting from January for 1 year or for 2 years. Sometimes there are grant calls in the spring for projects starting after the summer or something like this, and then there is the project period. And what they do, what they do when they have this money available, they do something that's called a grant call, okay? A grant call. This means they announce that they have money, and they announce what is the money intended for, okay? The way they announce it is usually they put it on their website. They say, okay, we have a grant call available. There is money for development of education in the Philippines, and we are looking if you comply with the following conditions, or if you are eligible, or if you fulfill the following conditions and criteria, you can give us your grant application. So that's where you begin. You're looking for grant calls that are open, and when you find a grant call that is open currently, the next step is you go and look at the criteria. If you can apply, if you are eligible for the money, if you are the right type of organization, if you are in the right type of location, if you do the right type of activities, and you read all of these conditions that the grant funder announced, and if you fit, then you start thinking, okay, oh, this looks like I could apply for this. And then you read the rest of the grant call to figure out whether your work and your mission and your services comply with the activities that the grant funder wants to pay for. Okay, so it's like a layered, a multi-layered process of finding grant funders, finding open grant calls, and then figuring out, does that grant call fit our needs, and do we fit the grant funders' conditions? And if yes, then you can start thinking about reading the rest of the stuff, that they published, all of the activities, their other conditions, and whether you can comply with that, and then only you start thinking about applying. So I want to say one thing that just came to my head, and that is that it is a very safe process. Okay, I know people have lots of fears and lots of self-doubt about applying for grant money, but you cannot get hurt in any way as an organization or as an individual, because you do not start writing a grant application until you are sure that you fit the funder's grant call. Okay, so it's very, very safe. You research, you read, you figure out, you think about your programs, you think about your activities, you think about your about your funding needs, and only when all of that is thought through and you think it's a good fit, then you start writing. And so you don't lose time or energy, or effort by writing a grant application, submitting it, and then figuring out that this was like a completely different grant call and you were not supposed to submit at all. You don't do that. Definitely not when you are a student of our courses and you accept our guidance for your grant applying work. Okay, so how do you know if you fit the grant funder? Is they will tell you what is their mission and what is their vision and what is it that they want to do. Each grant funder has a different mission and different priorities. So there are corporations, foundations, private foundations, local institutions, global institutions, ministries, governments. There are all kinds of grants, governmental, federal, state, all kinds of different grants. Some are restricted, some are unrestricted. There's a lot of funding available out there of different kinds. And each grant funder has a different purpose. And it's like with us Montessorians, it's very easy to understand. I have a different purpose or a different mission than every one of you have. Okay, so I want to help you Montessorians bring Montessori to your communities. You might have a plan, like one said that she wants. Okay, I'm going to go back to what she said she wants to do. She thinks big. She wants to replace child services with Montessori. Okay, well, that's a big plan, and we are big dreamers, and I love that. And so that's her mission. And then somebody else, I keep thinking about my student who wants to start. She wants to build a village, an eco village for elderly people. Okay, that's a huge dream as well. So that's her mission. So we each have a different mission. And then obviously we have to find a grant funder who wants to do the same thing. So when Liana wants to build an eco village for the elderly, she's looking for a grant funder who wants to do that. One is going to look for somebody who wants to improve the quality of child services in the United States or in New York or in Bronx. That doesn't have to be a worldwide project. It could be just a corner in Bronx where she's going to find somebody who is going to say, okay, why don't you start a little help center here, and let's see where that takes us. So we are looking for people who align with our missions and our visions and who want to support the kind of work we want to do. And that's where you begin. You start looking, you start searching. There are grand search engines available. One of the sites that I read continually is Grant Station, which is a US-based project, and they do all kinds of, they have a search engine. You have to pay to become a member, but they also have a free newsletter. And then there are other sites that you can go to look for grant calls. One of them is instrumental. I'm putting it in here. Usually there's a paid service behind that, but you can also just go with their free, whatever is available. And it's enough to get a sense of different types of grant calls and different types of fundings that are available. So I guess what I want to say to answer the question, where do you even start, is you need to make a decision that you're going to make thinking about grant money and about grant options and about how to incorporate grant funding into your financial strategy. And you start thinking about that. You accept the idea of that this might be helpful and that I want to find out more. And then you take some effort to do that on a regular basis. I saw that a moment ago, a colleague of mine from Lithuania joined us. Her name is Indre. And I remember Indre once said that now researching and checking various grant opportunities is part of my weekly routine. And when she said that, it warmed my heart so much, because I thought, yes, that's exactly what I want people to do. Make researching grant calls and checking on grants and just reading on grants and finding out what other people do part of your weekly routine. And then you are opening the door for opportunities to start. You know how it is when you want to buy a car? And I actually had just gone through that recently. I started thinking I would love to have a red car, okay? And when you start thinking you'd love to have a red car, all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere, right? And that's how our brains work. So if you put in your mind, and I would like, maybe that's the one thing I'm going to ask you to do today, after today, like a task, like a homework before next week. Please put it in your head, put it in your mind that you want to start researching grants and you want to start looking into grant opportunities. You want to find out about grants for your project, okay? And and let's see when we see each other next week what happens, okay? I'm going to ask you about that on Monday and Tuesday. Just start thinking about grants and let's see what happens. Let's see if doors to opportunities are going to open, okay? And one is a man, and I'm very sorry. Your online name is Echo Money, and it's really hard for me to say whether, who, is it a she or is it a he, and that's fine. I'm happy to meet you, men. Okay, everybody, I think I talked quite a bit today, so I think our time is up. I have my coffee like I had yesterday. I'm going to enjoy that now. I hope that you have your coffee, tea, water, whatever, and I hope that whatever part of the day it is for you, that you're going to have a beautiful day. Remember, is it going to be a beautiful day or not? That's a matter of your own decision. So make a decision that it's going to be a beautiful day for you. And I will see you on Monday at 9:00 a.m. Central European Time. Again, our session is going to be about understanding the process. So how do we apply for grants? Is it too difficult? How do I know how to write this? What's the process like? And all of that. Are there some examples of successful proposals? How do I align my Montessori project with what is the right grant? Okay, so that's the plan for Monday. And do not forget, please, to sign up for the workshop. It's on Thursday, and this is going to be the end of our live sessions on that day, because in that workshop, I'm going to summarize everything, give you all of these templates and things I talked about. And hopefully, when you take that workshop with me, you are going to become a convinced future grant writer, and we'll see then after that if we want to continue working together or not. Okay, so have a lovely day. This is going to stay on our social media, so you can come back today for reels and stories. I'm answering more questions about grants in the reels and stories series that I'm publishing these days. So stay on my social media. You can go to my Instagram or go to my Facebook and become a follower. I would love for you to do that. And I will see you on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. I'll post some photos from my gardening adventure. Okay? Thank you, Anka, for coming again. Thank you. Have a lovely weekend, everybody, and see you on Monday again, okay? I'm going to be here for you on Monday at 9 a.m. again, having fun together with you. Love you very much, Montessorians and educators. Bye.